that you're better? Well, you better get ready. Bow to the masters. Break it down.
You already know what time it is. Welcome back to the SPT Podcast, Sports Talk Radio. I am your host, RC. You can follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at SPT Podcast. And of course, you can follow the show on YouTube and Facebook at Sports Pop Talk Radio. Coming to you today with the big news of Anthony Davis requesting a trade from the Pelicans, and all sources say he is intending on signing in free agency with the Los Angeles Lakers. So, most likely, the scenario would be the LA decides to trade for Anthony Davis. Now, the most important thing in this trade is that everybody understands that New Orleans Pelicans hold all the keys at the moment in this deal. Anthony Davis is still signed for 2 years under contract, 1 year with an opt-out. So New Orleans is in no rush to deal Anthony Davis before this trade deadline on February 7th. So if they decide they want to wait until all teams such as Boston are available to make deals with them after this deadline, they can do so and possibly get the best package out there for them to make an Anthony Davis deal. But since Anthony Davis did come out and make that trade request, they can actually use this leverage to their advantage, knowing that the Lakers do intend on signing Anthony Davis and do intend on doing anything they can do to get their hands on the best big man in the game, if not the best. Definitely a top 10 player in the game, something you don't ever really trade, even if the player requests for that to happen, because top 10 players just don't fall out of trees. There's only 10 of them in the league, and you don't get rid of guys like that, especially when one has been as solid and productive and loyal to the New Orleans community as Anthony Davis has been his whole tenure with the team. So, with that being said, if I'm the Pelicans GM right now, and I'm thinking, okay, this is what Anthony Davis wants, most likely he's going to end up deciding to opt out of his final year in the deal and sign with the Lakers. Let's figure out a way to use this to our advantage and prepare for the future of our franchise in the best way possible. So, when looking at their roster, the Pelicans have two main players signed for the next few years. One being Anthony Davis, of course, who is on a 3-year deal right now, making $25.5 million a year. And another would be Jrue Holiday, making $26 million a year over the next 4 years, which is a very, very high contract to have, considering if you're trading Anthony Davis, you are basically saying we're going through a rebuild period, and you don't want to have that Jrue Holiday contract on your books on a rebuild season. Jrue Holiday is a good player. There would be many teams who have needs at the point guard position who would be very interested in a guy like Jrue Holiday, maybe a top 30 player in the NBA, top 10 to 15 player at his position. So what I have done is went to the trusty old ESPN trade machine and found 3 possible trades that I would make if I was the New Orleans Pelicans GM. The 3 teams that I have chosen to discuss here are 3 teams who are point guard needy teams, who do have high draft pick potential, which is something that I'm sure the New Orleans Pelicans GMs would be interested in if trading a top 10 player the caliber of Anthony Davis. They would need high draft pick potential, would need to acquire some young talent, and would need to, if I'm the GM, have to offload that Jrue Holiday contract as well. Jrue Holiday is 28, still in his prime, and still can compete at a very high level, but not a player who you want to have on your books through a rebuild. So the 3 teams I have found a destination for Jrue Holiday is, of course, in a 3-team deal. Now, 3-team deals are fairly difficult in the NBA because you need to match all salaries up, but doing some research, messing around with the trade machine, I have found 3 very good potential landing spots for Jrue Holiday in a 3-team deal, which would be very key if I'm the GM in sending Anthony Davis to the Lakers. So the first trade I have here is with the New York Knicks, and that would send Jrue Holiday to the Knicks to team up with Kristaps Porzingis and some of their young talent that they have that could possibly be in a win now mode next year. And I would also have Emmanuel Mudiay joining Anthony Davis in a Laker uniform. Now, what many people were going to be shocked about is who the Pelicans will actually receive in this deal. First, starting with the Lakers players, I have the Pelicans receiving Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, Kyle Kuzma, Josh Hart, and Zubac. All 5 players going to the New Orleans Pelicans, including Rajon Rondo and Enes Kanter, to get the money at a stable position to where this trade can actually happen. Also, I have the Pelicans receiving 2 first-round picks, 1 pick from the Lakers and another pick from the Knicks, and a second-round pick in this deal to make this happen. Like I said, when trading a player, top 10 player, the caliber of Anthony Davis, MVP type player, you have to receive everything and more that you want. So receiving those players, those picks, and being able to offload Jrue Holiday is something I feel the GM for the Pelicans would be interested in. Now, let's go to the next team I have here, and that would be the Orlando Magic, who have a big need at the point guard position. So, of course, I have Jrue Holiday going to the Magic, Anthony Davis and DJ Augustine to the Lakers, and the same 6 players, Rajon Rondo, Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, Kyle Kuzma, Josh Hart, and Ivica Zubac going to the Pelicans, with Timofey Mozgov, whose contract is at 2 years and $16 million a year, which is a big chip in this trade, as he is needed to make this trade possible in the trade machine and in the actual NBA if you're a GM for the Pelicans. So that would be my second team I have, and the final team and most interesting landing spot for Jrue Holiday and his $25 million a year for the next 4 years contract would be the Phoenix Suns, where the Pelicans would send Jrue Holiday and the Lakers would acquire, of course, Anthony Davis and Jamal Crawford, who would be able to help them this year to try to make a playoff run. And of course, those same 6 players I said from the Lakers, I also have the huge deal that Ryan Anderson was able to get at $20 million a year for the next 2 years. Also in this trade and in the trade with the Magic, I have the Pelicans receiving a first-round pick from the Lakers and another first-round pick from the Suns to go along with a second-round pick, most likely from the Lakers, to make this deal happen. Now, the main reason I say this is the most interesting landing spot for Jrue Holiday is because I look at the potential roster that the Suns can throw out there. If you say they go Jrue Holiday, Devin Booker, keep their draft pick from this year and are able to acquire the first round pick in the draft and select Zion Williamson to throw him at the maybe 3 or 4 position to go along with Josh Jackson and DeAndre Ayton, that would be a very, very nice roster going into next year to try to make a run at a playoff spot in the West. That is why I feel this trade is the most interesting. Those are the 3 teams I have trading for that Jrue Holiday contract. In my Anthony Davis deal, the Pelicans could choose just to wait for the offseason to where all teams, including the Boston Celtics, who have a very good package available to trade to the Pelicans for Anthony Davis, they could wait for all teams to be able to propose their best offer to the Pelicans. But these are the 3 trade scenarios I see possible if a trade was to go down before the February 7th trade deadline. So let me know what you guys think. This is definitely a hypothetical type issue here, considering it's not easy to pull off trades in the NBA, but it is something that I feel the Pelicans would be interested in. Such a blockbuster deal, being able to receive 5 talented young players from the Lakers and 2 first-round picks and a second-round pick is something I feel that they would actually do to start their franchise in the direct path moving forward without Anthony Davis and try to build a team for the future. Thanks for listening, and as you already know, I'm out.